Good morning. Today I want to talk about heaven. I want to talk about something Jesus was saying. He said, "The kingdom of heaven is at hand." And this is something which touched me even when I was very young. I never was a hardcore Christian. In the family where I grew up, Christianity, church, faith did not play any role. Basically, my parents were atheists. But this touched me. But I did not know what it means. It's interesting, it touched me, although I did not know anything about it. I couldn't explain to myself what these words meant. And basically this was true for everything I have learned about God, about heaven, about paradise. Everything which I was hearing about religion was abstract to me. It sounded nice. It sounded like something I wanted to believe in, because if it would be true, it just would be great. But I had no real connection to it. It were just ideas. And to me, the only thing which is really helpful to me, and the only thing which I actually trust, is something I can experience myself. This is my touchstone. Do I know it? It's nice to read about it, it's nice to hear about it, but do I know it? That's the question. And as far as heaven is concerned, back then at that time, I didn't know anything about it. Yet it touched me. But basically, I believe that all of this are images, are stories about something I didn't know, but not meant to be taken literally. And I was quite convinced about it. I remember when I was in high school, I must have been like 16 years old. I had a fight with my religious teacher in school. He was talking about some things Jesus said, and I said, "Listen, this can't be meant like this. This is just not possible." I think he talked about the virgin birth of Jesus, or about heaven. I don't remember, but I remember I just couldn't take it literally. But this religious teacher insisted on it, that Jesus meant it just like this. And for me this was just crazy. It was like I couldn't take this man serious. And today I know what my problem was at that time. This religious teacher in my school had learned that this is the truth. But it was not his own experience. He did not know from his own inside that what he was talking about. And that's why he was not convincing. That's why I couldn't feel the truth in what he was saying. And so this just stayed like that for me. All these Christian things were nice words, like nice dreams. Nothing else. But there was something which always touched me and I couldn't understand it. And then what followed later in my life, that started 23 years ago when I came to my spiritual master, Soham. I learned the path to the inside. I learned to know myself. I learned to find myself, so to speak, and to be happy. But I didn't learn anything about that, what Jesus was talking about. I had basically forgotten about it. I became happy. And there was no need for me to understand this Christian stuff. But then something amazing happened. And I shared about this in my previous video. How this Indian guru, Shiv Krupadan Swami, came into my life. And I told you before multiple times that this is really a surprise because I'm not a spiritual person. I didn't grow up religious. I'm a technician. I'm a computer guy. The last thing I ever thought about was a guru. But this guru touched me and he came into my life. And through him, all these words from Jesus, which I never understood, became totally alive. They became alive because through the touch of this guru, I began to experience myself, the things Jesus was talking about all the time. And that's what I wanted to talk about in this video this morning. Swamiji, this Indian guru, he brings a meditation to us. He teaches the Samarpan Meditation. I will make another video about meditation and also about this particular meditation, which is, for me, now the only real meditation. But today I don't want to go too deep into the details. I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about what it did to me. This meditation is totally simple. Anybody can do it. And it's not even religious. It has nothing to do with religion. You can do this meditation whether you are a Christian or a Hindu or a Muslim or none of all of this. You don't have to be religious. You don't even have to be spiritual. And what we usually think about meditation is some mind activity, some maybe kind of positive thinking or imagining something, connecting with something. It's nothing like this. It's basically the opposite. It's like you just forget everything which you know. You forget everything which you know about yourself, and you forget your thoughts and your wishes and your goals. And it's Samarpan. The word Samarpan means surrender. It's the surrender meditation. And basically you surrender everything you think is important, everything you know. And that's true surrender, when you let go of all of these things. And yet then automatically you become empty. And what happens through this meditation is that something inside of you begins to develop and something becomes stronger, which Swamiji calls the soul. That what you truly are. You know, we usually think, okay, I am Michael. This is my body. Yes, and I also have a soul, and I have wishes, and I have feelings, and all of this. And this whole stuff together, this is me. But this is not true. My thoughts and my wishes are totally temporary. They come and go. This cannot be me. This body comes and goes. A few years ago it didn't exist, and in a few years it will be gone. So it can't be me. Swamiji says, we are a soul, like a particle of God. And this soul has nothing to do with this body. But we are not aware of this at all. We don't have any real experience of this. We experience everything we can experience through our senses. And this dominates our perception and our awareness. And this is why it is natural that we are totally identified with this body and everything which is connected with this. Thoughts, feelings, everything. And that what we truly are, that which is not connected to the body at all, the soul, we don't feel. We cannot feel. We have no way to feel or to really discover this. And I'm not talking about that soul, which, you know, when I use this word soul, it's a word everybody knows. Everybody has some idea about it, what it could be, but nobody really knows. It's not a concept. This word soul, how Swamiji uses it, how I use it, it's not a concept. It's something real. It is who I am, who you are. And this meditation, over time, develops our ability to experience the soul, to get connected again to ourselves, basically. And through this, we get connected to that what the soul is, a natural part of, the whole, God, life energy. The Indians call it Paramatma, and I like the word Paramatma because it's not a person. Like, you know, when we talk about God, we think about a person. But this is, of course, not true. So this meditation while we're doing nothing. We don't have to do anything. It happens all by itself. Over time, strengthens the soul in us, strengthens our awareness of the soul. And then something very, very interesting happened to me. When I began to do this meditation, this is now about 5.5 years ago, after a while, I began to understand Jesus. The meditation is, what you really do is very simple. You sit down, you close your eyes, you touch the top of your head with your hand, you do 3 circle movements with your hand to activate the spot here on the skull, which is the crown chakra. And all you do then for half an hour is to be with your awareness, with your consciousness at this spot here. That's all we do. We don't think, we don't want to achieve anything, we don't want to have a certain experience, we don't want to feel in a certain way. All of this is forgotten. We just remain with our attention at this one spot. And it sounds like nothing. And it's so simple, it can't be anything special. It's too simple. It's not difficult enough. But it's interesting. Swamiji says, through this practice, if we do this every day, in the morning, first thing in the morning, for half an hour, our soul becomes stronger. And we don't know what this means. We don't know our soul, and we don't know what it means when that gets stronger. We have to experience it by ourselves. And that's what happened to me. I began this meditation about 5.5 years ago. And after a while, I began to feel that, first of all, by some things I couldn't understand, my life became even more beautiful, even more problem-free. Everything happened by itself. And I didn't know how this is even possible. These are the first side effects of this meditation. But it's so indirect, you can't really connect it to the meditation, but that's where it comes from. And after a while, I began to feel something very, very interesting. When I would meditate, I would get the impression that there is something beyond this spot here where I have my attention doing the meditation. I know this sounds a little esoteric right now. But I'm not an esoteric person. I'm a down-to-earth person. I only believe what I experience. And slowly, as time went by, this perception got stronger. As if I was, when I had my awareness at my crown chakra, not doing anything, just resting there with my awareness, as if I was sitting at the door to something, to something I don't know. I didn't know anything about this. I just knew there is something which is beyond what I know. Yes, and as time went by even further, this became stronger. And at a certain point, I noticed how I can't say it in any other way, how I got nourished from there. As if my true life energy, that what really feeds me, is coming from there. It's almost like it's a connection to another dimension. Because above my head there is nothing but air, and the ceiling of this room. But this is not, of course, not that what I'm talking about right now. And these experiences were very surprising to me. I can't tell you often enough. I'm not a esoteric freak. I'm not a religious fanatic. I was always totally normal and unspiritual. I'm an engineer, I'm a mechanical engineer and a computer specialist. I believe the things I can touch and experience. But I experienced it every morning, every day through meditation. And the experience became stronger and clearer very, very gradually. And I guess this is what Swamiji says, through the meditation, we begin to feel our soul more and more. The soul gets stronger. Our awareness of the soul, of that what we truly are, becomes stronger. And so this is my explanation for my experience. So the more aware I become of my true identity, which is the soul, the more I become aware to what the soul is connected to. The soul is not a person, not a body. It's like an outpost of Paramatma, an outpost of God. It's connected to God. Basically it's a part of God. So the more I become aware of this, the more I feel connected. I actually feel as my own normal, trustworthy experience. I feel connected to God. I don't mean God as a person, to that which you can't describe, you can't understand, you can put into any words, but you can experience it. That's the magic of it. And it's a very quiet experience. It's very subtle, but when you are in that space, it's everything. Yeah, and then I began to understand Jesus. I love to talk about Jesus and about his words as I understand them these days. Because, all these things which we hear from the East about meditation, about gurus, about all of this stuff. It's so foreign to us. It's so easy to dismiss it as stuff which is not true. But the words of Jesus are so close to us. We grew up with them. We grew up in that Jesus energy. Whether we are religious or not, this is unimportant. And I believe that by putting my experiences into our Western context, into a Christian context, it's much easier to understand it. Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is at hand." And after some years of meditating the Samarpan meditation every day, every morning, first thing, I feel so connected to this kingdom of God. And it's like the door is here, you know. It's not something you have to imagine, some concept of some other dimension. No, it becomes your mundane experience, basically. I know it's hard to believe when you don't have this experience yourself. If you want to find out, just do this meditation. And after a relatively short time, this will also be your experience. And today I know this is what Jesus was talking about. He said, you can experience the kingdom of God yourself. It's closer than close. He said this too. He said, it's closer than close. It's part of you. It's here. It's not part of the body. It's your soul, but the soul is in here. And this is, when you begin to experience this, nothing, it's like, yeah, all the other things become unimportant. Life becomes more and more beautiful because you don't have to worry about anything anymore. You feel connected to that which feeds and carries you all the time, which has always carried you, will always carry you, and which you are. And it's your own direct experience. A subtle, quiet experience. But it's totally clear, totally simple. And it's so close, it's here, and it's so easy. All it takes is this meditation and a little bit of time. But what else have you to do in your life? So, to my big surprise, I have to admit today that this religious teacher was right. That teacher in my school I was fighting with so fiercely. Jesus meant it literally. He said, the kingdom of God is at hand. It's not further away than where you can go with your hand. I know this sounds like really, really weird and like a science fiction, but I'm just testifying what I experience since years. I'm testifying about what became my ground of being. And it's not something ungrounded, something which takes you out of life into some mental place where you probably end up in psychiatry at some point. No, it's something very grounded, very, very rooted. Something which develops very slowly. Very slowly. It's not a sudden experience. I don't trust sudden experiences at all. I trust the slow stuff. I trust the permanent stuff, nothing else. In my previous video, I talked at length about the magic of a guru, and I talked about that Jesus was a guru. Jesus was one of the greatest gurus this earth has ever seen. That's why we can still feel him today. And the only job of a guru and his magic, or her magic if it's a female guru, is that just by his own state of being, by his own connectedness to this what Jesus calls the kingdom of heaven, just because he is connected to this, when he touches you, and I don't mean a physical touch, when a guru like this comes into your life, suddenly it becomes possible for you to look into this direction also yourself. Before that, it's not possible. It's not possible. You can do whatever you want. It just doesn't work. But when a Jesus or a Swamiji, a living guru, that's the key. When a living guru, somebody who is like you in a body, comes into your life, then suddenly the impossible becomes not only possible, but normal. And that's why the only important thing with the Samarpan meditation is that you get introduced to this meditation by Swamiji, by the guru who brings it to you. And this is nothing you have to be worried about. It's nothing esoteric. I will tell you a little bit about it so you don't have to think this is dangerous. But this is just how it works. It's like, I like to put things into very mundane perspectives, because this is stuff we know from our normal life. It's like, a young person learning a craft from a craftsman, from a master carpenter or so. And the young person can learn all the right movements with the hands and how to use the tools, but the craftsmanship, the love for the wood, the dedication to the task, that's something you pick up from the person, from your master, from your craftsmanship master. No words are needed for this. It just happens by being with him and learning. You learn all the physical things from your teacher, But the important stuff is transmitted without words at the side, so to speak, by itself. And that's what happens with a guru. A guru is a master of life, a master of the kingdom of heaven, if you want. And just by being with a living guru who is living there, this possibility to be connected to this transmits down to you. And then it's suddenly possible. And you haven't done anything. You haven't learned anything. That's why I keep saying it's so easy. All you need is a little bit of patience. So it's totally simple. You don't have to travel to India. You don't have to sign a contract. You don't have to pay money. You don't have to become part of a cult or a religion. And the way it happens is you just participate in an introduction to this meditation, and you don't even have to travel anywhere. You can do this online. It's a totally simple thing. Once a week they do this online. You can tune into the online transmission and listen to what they explain to you where this meditation came from, how Swamiji found it in the Himalayas. It's an amazing story. And they tell you the few little practical things which are good to know about the meditation. And that's it. It's nothing special. When you participate in this online introduction, which takes about half an hour, you think, well, this is nothing. But by listening to these people who are representatives of Swamiji, of this living Jesus, you get connected to this. You don't know anything about it. You don't feel different after this. You don't sit there like, I'm connected. No, don't worry, nothing like this. I don't know how it happens, actually. But when you listen to my previous video, maybe you got a taste of what I mean. It's like just by a living Jesus being part of your life in some way, something becomes possible. It's kind of mysterious, but actually this is how it works. And this is so with this meditation. So when you do this introduction, and then you start meditating every morning, and then it becomes possible to discover your soul. And over time, you will inevitably discover that what I'm talking about in this video, which I admit sounds really, really strange, but you will discover it for yourself. And basically, this is the one thing I will talk about in my videos in various different ways, again and again. And that's why it's part of the beginning of each of my videos. This heaven is at hand for those who know its gate. The gate is this meditation. The gate is this part where we rest with our attention. And the gate opens by itself. You don't even have to go through the gate. You don't have to do anything. You just notice month by month, year by year, how your life becomes amazingly different. You're still in your life. You do your work. You are married. You have your children. You walk around. You talk to people. But you have a totally new reference point for yourself. You have no reason to worry about anything anymore. And this changes your entire life, and everything you do changes. That's what I will talk about in many videos, how all the things we try to improve in our lives, our relationship, our sex, all these totally unimportant things, but for us they are so important and they're so difficult. Peace, our interactions with others, our problems at work, our problems in the world with the war and with pollution and everything. You will see how it's possible to solve all that. And the beginning is here. By discovering who you truly are, by discovering your soul, and when you do this, you will discover what the soul is part of, and that is heaven. It's nothing esoteric. And I always knew it in a way. In the beginning of the video, I told you that I couldn't believe all of these words from Jesus. I couldn't believe any of what this religious teacher was talking about. And yet it touched me. As if there is something in all of us which knows the truth. I mean, the soul is in you, whether you know it or not. And that part resonates. And when you hear these things, you feel this funny resonance, but you can't understand it. You think, this can't be true. You think this is bullshit. That's childish stuff. Yeah. And now I understand why I had this resonance, despite the fact that I couldn't understand it, despite the fact that the person who told me these things, my religious teacher, had also himself no clue about it. Yet I knew. And now it's my own experience. And I want to tell you that it will be your own experience too, sooner or later. Yeah. And it's really possible. It's really so easy. Yeah. I just checked the time. If I don't look at the clock, I have no clue how long I talk. And I thought I'm talking about this since 10 minutes, but it's 45 minutes. Yeah, so that's what Jesus was talking about. I'm sure he had this experience himself. And that's why he shared about it all the time, to everybody. And all I can do is invite you again and again to find out for yourself. That's the only thing which matters, if you find out for yourself. Don't believe anything. But if you feel a resonance, if you feel a curiosity, find out for yourself. Yeah. The worst thing which can happen is that you lose a little bit of time. When you try this meditation, Swamiji says, when you try it, do it at least for 45 days. Every morning, half an hour. First thing in the morning, you get up, go to the toilet, you sit down and meditate before you do anything else, alone. Half an hour for 45 days. This is not much. And after these 45 days, you will already know what I'm talking about. It's something which grows over time. It deepens over time in an amazing way. But after 45 days, you will have enough own experience to know for yourself whether this is actually true, what I'm talking about. You will know. Yeah, so all I can do is invite you to this, and if you're curious, I on my website, look on the meditation page. I will have everything you need to know about this. If you want to do a introduction, or if you want to read more about it. But also, basically all of my videos, whether I talk about relationship or love or sex or work or whatever it is, there are so many things. It always comes down to this, to know yourself, to know that you are carried. And then everything else becomes easy. But you have to experience it yourself, and this meditation is the key for this. Yeah. And that's why I talk about it so often. I don't want to stop talking, but I have to. It's enough for today. I love you, and I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for listening.